Augmented Reality Mobile Robotics, or ARMOR, loads robots into its simulation environment via URDF, an industry standard file format. Let's talk about where you can find URDF for popular robots. Before we begin, let's refresh our memory of what a URDF file is. First of all, it is the acronym for Universal Robot Description Format. It is an XML file, and it is an industry standard, especially in projects targeting the robot operating system. It defines a robot's kinematics as a set of links and joints. Links in URDF define the physical properties of robot parts. A link's inertial block defines its mass and inertia tensor and position of its center of mass relative to the link origin. Its visual and collision blocks define mesh files and/or simple shapes that represent how it looks and how it interacts via contact with other parts in the model. Joints define the rotational and translational relationships between links, their degrees of freedom, and their constraints. Common joints include free motion, where a robot's base link is given unconstrained motion in all axes, and revolute and prismatic joints, where a link is given a single rotational or translational degree of freedom relative to its parent link. URDF generally does not embed detail of complex meshes or image-based textures. Instead, it references these as separate files, often stored in a separate meshes directory. Lastly, a related format to URDF is Xacro, which is a macro language. This allows embedding variables or commands or including reference to other URDF files, allowing organization and streamlining of large products. The latest release of ARMOR supports Xacro projects in its loader code. Suppose you want to start by simulating a robot that already exists rather than starting from scratch. Where should you look to find these URDF files? To start, GitHub is your friend for this, or any robotics project, as there is a wide-ranging community of experts willing to share their models there. Many robot models are provided directly from the source, meaning the industrial companies that design and build their robots. Another common source is certain major open-source robotics simulation software platforms, which curate robotics models in URDF and other formats and often include source code or extensions to access more advanced features. Finally, there are many other community-based aggregators of URDF, including our own, the ARMOR Robot Gallery. Frequently, the best source for a clean and accurate robot URDF model is the designers themselves. These companies publish their own models in hopes to build a community around their products, one who will in turn purchase these robots for their own company's use, and often contribute meaningful feedback to improve the hardware and software. Unitree provides URDF files for the entire product range via their GitHub page. Click on the robots directory to see a list of subdirectories for their humanoid and quadruped robots. Click on one of the models to see its folder contents, including the URDF file in its standard format. Inside is a meshes directory with DAE and STL formatted files to build out the visual and collision blocks. Universal Robots also publishes their whole family of robots via their GitHub inside a project labeled ROS-2 description. They have adopted the approach of using the Xacro format for their project files. As their robots share common building blocks across multiple models, Xacro aids in following the "don't repeat yourself" principle, helping to keep their projects well organized. Look inside one model's meshes folder and you will see separate visual and collision directories in DAE and STL format as we have seen before. Of course, these are just two robot vendors. Many other robot vendors will also post their robot models, and I think it is a good practice to always search for these first to ensure the model you load into your simulation environment is consistent with the real design. The next trusted source of URDF files are the open source software applications that import them into their own simulation solvers. Let's start with Drake, which is a joint product led by the MIT Robot Locomotion Lab with the Toyota Research Institute. Their website includes a gallery of projects, including videos of Drake simulations alongside real-world robot twins. In their tutorial section, you will see tutorials explaining how multi-body dynamics models are constructed using URDF. Returning to the Robot Locomotion GitHub page, you'll find a gallery of pre-built models. Another great software source for robot models is the MuJoCo Menagerie by Google DeepMind. Here you will find a wide variety of robot models that are curated and known to load correctly into the MuJoCo solver, the same that is used in Armor. There is even a web-based solver where you can test a quick simulation in your browser, usually of a robot falling over, but still pretty cool. One caveat with the MuJoCo Menagerie: most of these models use the MuJoCo native MJCF format, which is related but uses different syntax from URDF and adds on certain features that don't exist in URDF. As I record this video, Armor internally converts URDF to the MJCF but does not yet support working in the opposite direction, namely importing MJCF files. In all likelihood, the largest source of URDF files you will find are the open source aggregators. These are individual users or consortiums that have posted their own interpretations or extensions on the industry models. The most well known is the ROS-Industrial project, which is a collaboration between research laboratories, academia, and industry. This is not simply a URDF gallery, rather it contains a community-maintained set of code and resources, of which URDF is one component. Other useful aggregators are the URDF files dataset and Awesome Robot Descriptions, which have consolidated their own URDF datasets deriving from multiple sources, including the robotics companies and software sources that I have already mentioned. This leads us to the highlight from the AR Mobile Robotics perspective, which is our own Armor Robot Gallery. This is a small but growing gallery of models in the URDF format, which we verified to load and simulate properly in the Armor app. These link to the official sources via company GitHub sites or ROS-Industrial, but we do not serve the files themselves. The gallery includes a search bar and filter, and for each model we include a thumbnail, description, and stats such as masses and number of joints. Look for the green Open in Armor button, which will direct you to the Armor app via deep link, where the import process will begin. Of course, if you aren't an Armor user, you can still click the link to visit the source and download yourself. That concludes this video on finding URDF files that you can import and simulate in AR Mobile Robotics. I hope you continue following our videos and articles about Armor and some of its advanced features, including on the DC Engineer YouTube channel, our official docs site, and on the blog. There you might learn about details such as: what do the icons mean next to the navigation links and editor sections? How can I add actuators to control the robot's motion? And how can I create a scene that includes multiple robots? These topics and more will be covered in the videos that follow. Thank you for watching today. I hope you'll subscribe and keep learning about modern robotics simulation with Armor.